Good morning. What's good, LL Nation? Another great day to be a Notre Dame fan. Welcome in. Hopefully, Left will get home from doing this Hollywood gig just in time to hop in. Today is going to be a very interesting show. Um, both of the coordinators met with the media last night. Drew Pyne met with the media. So we're going to talk about that, right? Today's show, usually we have on a guest from the opposing team, start to preview the upcoming game. But at this point, it's like, this season, Cal is Cal, right? Notre Dame's a 10-point favorite for a reason. Notre Dame should beat this team handily. So we thought it best to focus more on Notre Dame and what's being done this week and the changes that are coming forth rather than to focus on Cal and talk about their quarterback who doesn't really have a big arm. He has some tall receivers and all of this stuff, and they want to spread you out and talk about Sermon at middle linebacker and how good the defense has been traditionally over the last 4 or 5 years. Look, let's get to it. Drew Pyne is your starting quarterback, right? We've only seen him in mop-up duty or coming in behind Jack Cohn in the Wisconsin game or coming in behind Jack Cohn in the Cincinnati game, coming in behind Tyler Buckner last week. I think his first action ever was against South Florida, coming in that game. We called him the People's Champ for a reason. Leader, better personality than Tyler Buckner, who's more probably introverted than Drew Pyne. He's the rally the troops type of guy. So honestly, with the way things have gone, and I'm not saying it's a good thing that Tyler Buckner got injured by any means. What I am saying, though, is that the personality of the quarterback fits the assignment that's needed. Maybe a little bit better. Not the talent, but the personality and leadership qualities fit the assignment facing the overall team a little bit better. Marcus Freeman yesterday, he met with the media and he said something that was kind of mind-boggling to me, honestly. And hope you guys can't hear that because they're doing some work outside my front door. But he talked about Drew Pyne and he talked about how the offense is going to look with Drew Pyne at the helm.
I don't see the offense changing extremely amounts. I see we're still going to be able to do some of the QB runs that we did with Tyler, and obviously the passing game will continue to enhance it and figure out ways to be more consistent in it, and put him in a situation to hopefully have more completions. And so, I don't see the offense in terms of the entire package changing because of Drew being at quarterback. But I do see us trying to look and see, okay, hey, where can we be more efficient in as an offense?
I think we all know, because there's been some overreaction to that clip and what he said. I think we all know what Marcus Freeman is clearly saying here, okay? No, Drew Pyne is not the runner that Tyler Buckner is. He's not about to come out and run, quarterback lead or quarterback power with Drew Pyne. But Drew Pyne is athletic enough to be a weapon to pull the ball if the Cal defense just solely attacks the running backs in the RPO game. And he can pull and hit the quick throw to the tight end or pop it out to a wide receiver on the screen. Drew has struggled. We're going to be frank. Drew has some struggles in the spring. I think everyone saw how he struggled in the blue and gold game. And for the most part, when they went into the fall, Drew played much better in fall camp than he did in spring camp. Now, this is only from the limited practices that we were able to see, that I was able to see. A lot of people felt like Drew Pyne should have won the starting job. Having Drew Pyne as your quarterback limits what you can do. Having Tyler Buckner as the starting quarterback gives you a more opportunity to impact the running game. Tyler slightly has a better arm, but the problem with Tyler is, and we'll get to this in a few minutes, Tyler really struggles with his footwork. He really does. Like, if you watch him, even when he has a clean pocket, he has a tendency to throw the ball off his back foot and really doesn't follow through properly. And that's something that he's going to have to take advantage of this time. This is for Tyler Buckner, and I'm going to dig into this. And I really wish I had Malik with me as the quarterback. Yo, this isn't time for Tyler to sit back on the sideline and hold the clipboard. Like, once he has a surgery, there's some work that needs to be done. And I'm hoping that he does it. I'm not banking on that he does it because there's really no staff there to help him. Because I don't see Tommy Rees giving him the time when he has to give time to the team and to Steve Angeli and Drew Pyne. I don't see anyone giving Tyler Buckner the requisite time as he recovers to really make him a better quarterback. We'll get to that. Lucky Lefty podcast right here, brought to you by Onora Whisky. Go subscribe to the Lucky Lefty podcast right now. Hit the share and the like button. Let everybody know we spin it different. But getting back to Drew Pyne. He's better for the assignment because I consider Drew Pyne one of the leaders on this team. I really do. He's one of those guys that he has that gravitas. Everyone is drawn into him. And like I said, he is the perfect guy for the assignment in terms of his makeup and his leadership and his ability to lead. And that's one of the great things Marcus Freeman talked about as well, is that the time is now. Like, forget all of the other pieces. Of course, has to be a total team effort every time they step on the field to win games. But more than ever, the leadership of this program, they have to step up.
We'll need our leadership the most, in that, the true, to me, the true culture of your program shows itself when things are hard, right? And that's what I challenge those guys, and I challenge them in the locker room, is like, we talk about our culture, we talk about what type of program we have, but we'll really see it right now when things are hard, and everybody probably outside that locker room is feeding different things to you, and I said that's where we got to be strong, because probably one or two things are being said to you, either hey, you're doing your job, the rest of your team and your coaches stink, or you stink. You all stink. And so neither of those things really are going to help us win. And so for us to really stay locked in to that football facility, lead each other, lean on each other, that's what we need the most right now. When things are tough, we need our leaders to really, really keep the culture going.
Yo, and that's something that we have been trying to reiterate since the Marshall loss. Like, the leadership should have shown up late in that game. And the leadership needs to take a step forward right now. And you heard Cam McDaniel on the show. And if you missed it, it's a great show. It was an honest conversation, almost a player's lounge. We're going to have a former Notre Dame player on with us each and every Monday to talk about the state of the Notre Dame program and the previous game. And Cam McDaniel gave this great clip where he talked about what needs to happen moving forward. And he has experience and knows better than anyone as a former Notre Dame captain.
Remember LSU Music City Bowl, like that Thursday before the game? I don't know, man. Like just the vibe. We had lost, pretty much 5 games in a row or something like that. Like, ever since me and you went out against Arizona State, like it was just and I was a captain that year. Like I remember just the feeling of just everything just going downhill, and you're like, man, just miserable. Yeah. And so we're showing up to the Music City Bowl, which obviously, like it's the Music City Bowl. Like, and, it's going to be my last game, so it's important to me. But you could just feel that there wasn't a sense of like, oh, yeah, we're going to go like win this game. That wasn't what we were there for at first, is what it felt like to me as a captain. And so that Thursday, like before the game, when everybody would typically want to go out and do their thing or whatever, I was like, we're doing a meeting. All the coaches are out. Like, we are going to meet on this and we're going to have this conversation. And it was just one of those conversations to where we opened up the floor and it was like, what are we actually here for? Like, are we going to like do this, or do we want to win this game? Because if we do, we can, but we have to get that straight right now between us, like that this is going to happen, because this has nothing to do with the coaching staff really right now. Like, this is a decision between like us as a collective unit, that this matters to us more than it matters to LSU. During that game, like we came out and played with a passion that, I hadn't seen since really the week that we played Florida State when it was college game day and we got that game stolen from us. Like, that was the type of energy that we were playing with and the type of passion that we were playing with. And that's really, I think it just comes down to one of those moments. Like, I don't know who's saying, hey, all the coaches get the fuck out and like, we're going to have this conversation. Like, that's how much this means to us right now. I think that like one of those moments is definitely necessary sometime this week. And really these guys getting down to what do we want this to look like for us this year?
That was Cam McDaniel on the Lucky Lefty podcast with myself and Malik on Monday. If you missed the show, go watch it. Fantastic show. You can find it on the Lucky Lefty podcast YouTube page. Cam is right. When you get to these type of points in a football season as a program, it's the leaders that have to take a step forward and say, you know what? Coach is out. We have to figure this out as players. And, it's good to hear. And what he talked about was energy, right? And that's something we heard from Tommy Rees and Drew Pyne on yesterday. And Tommy Rees making mention that one of the things that Drew Pyne brings is an energy to the huddle and to the offense. And that's why I say he's the perfect guy for this assignment, right? Drew Pyne, let me preface this and throw it out there, right? Because I'm not saying when Notre Dame wins on Saturday and Marcus Freeman gets his first victory as head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, we're going to do the post-game show, and people are going to be talking about, see, Drew Pyne should have been the starter. No, the players around the quarterback should have played better than they did the first 2 games. Period. The players around the quarterback have not been good enough in the first 2 games. Yeah, wide receivers in the same spot. Tight ends not blocking. Captains along the offensive line, getting penalties at key points, missing assignments, running backs whiffing on blitzes. It's all bad. It's been all bad, like we said after the Marshall game. And we talked about it yesterday. This is not something that has just happened in the last 3 games. We fully understand that Marcus Freeman is 0-3 as a head coach. But the same things that have been the ills that he's trying to remedy have been there for much longer than 3 games. I'm a Notre Dame fan just like you guys, LL Nation. I've been watching Notre Dame struggle to get offensive play calls in the game with multiple quarterbacks for multiple years. Malik said it was the same thing when he was the starting quarterback. I haven't watched consistent line play, honestly, since Quentin Nelson and McGlinchey left. Not on that level of dominance. There's been a decline. There's been some solid years. The 18 squad, the 20 squad. But for the most part, we've seen false starts in key situations. We've seen blown assignments. We've seen questionable offensive line play to the point that they felt like that what they had on the roster either wasn't good enough or the coaching staff had not done a good enough job in developing it for them to feel like they had to go out and get a transfer right guard from Marshall named Kane Madden, who was awful. What you had was so bad that you had to go get bad and bring it in to the offensive line. And you continue to play the bad. Not just that. You didn't just go get bad, but you continue to play the bad week after week. The only reason you can do that is because you don't believe in what you have behind it. So what we're telling you is the ills that are trying to be remedied right now have been there a long time. And I preface that to say, don't make Saturday's game about Drew Pyne, because it's not. It's not. It's so much bigger than Drew Pyne. But I do believe Drew Pyne is the absolute perfect, or not perfect, he is the better piece to go into battle with right now based upon the assignment and what Notre Dame needs. Notre Dame needs to play with passion. That's what Cam McDaniel said. That was the first time they played with passion. This is a team that started off, 6-0, 7-0 going to that Florida State game? And the game was taken from them. They beat Florida State. Florida's on the road in the Doak. That team walked into Florida State with Jameis Winston and flat out beat them. Beat them. I don't care what the final score was. We understand the game was taken. They flat out went in there and beat them. Joe Smith gets hurt, and everything goes downhill. They lose on the road to Arizona State after spotting them like 24 points. They almost come back and win. That's how talented that team was. And then they face LSU and Leonard Fournette, who put on a one-man show in the Music City Bowl. Absolutely he did. Put on a one-man show. Didn't matter. Didn't matter. So where do we sit right now? The offense is going to be a tad bit different. If the wide receivers or someone along the offensive line or the tight ends miss an assignment, I feel better because I feel like Drew Pyne has a little bit more gravitas to walk up to those guys and get in their ear and let them know about it on the field and on the sideline. Tyler making his first two starts, being young, being more of an introvert, I think Tyler was really still trying to find his voice. And what gained him the respect was how hard he played. The kid played hard. And that's the danger. And that's something that he has to take time in the coming months to recognize and say, okay, how do I transform myself? How do I put in the work to transform myself? Because I can't depend on Tommy Rees to do it because he doesn't have the time for me during the season. What do I do? We'll get to that shortly. The wide receivers, and I'm sorry, we're going to get to some of your comments and questions as well. Chancey Stuckey was on fire on the sideline last week. on fire. You know, we blame coaches. It's like, look, these coaches are telling these young men what to do, how to do it, and the way it needs to be done on a daily basis. And I've had to tell Notre Dame fans, and we appreciate you guys so much. We're approaching 2,800 really fast. We just crossed 2,700 last week. We'll be at 2,800 by the week's end, by the grace of God and by you all support. But let me tell you something, man. At some point, as fans, we have to hold these players accountable, right? Have to hold them accountable. We just have to. They have to play better. Have to play better. There's no way Chancey Stuckey told Jaden Thomas and Lorenzo Styles Jr. to end up in the same spot on the field on a key third down. There's no way that's the way he teaches the game. No way. Why did they do it? Attention to detail. And as you saw the conversation and the interaction, Chancey Stuckey walked away after he said what he had to say to the both of them. He didn't just put it on one player. He put it on both of them. Both of you have to communicate. Both of you have to communicate pre-snap. Point to each other. Let each other know this is what's up. That's on both of you. Jaden Thomas turns back to Lorenzo Styles, hits his chest, and says, that's me. My fault, dude. Accountability. You must have it to climb out of this hole and to improve upon this season. And it starts with your leadership, and it has to flow down to the rest of the squad. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Let me give you a bit of hope because it gave me some hope yesterday. And hopefully it can make you guys feel a little bit better. Because I was going through building some things, and I was like, you know what? This made me feel a little bit better. And I want to show it to you guys and share it with you right now. I was going through some pictures, just setting up some of the graphics and things that we post up. And I saw this right here. And I said to myself, you know what? This right here just made me feel a little bit better. It made me feel like things are going to be okay. I'm trying to find it. Here it is. Thanks, guys, for being patient with me. This right here. I found this picture as I scrolled through. And I saw Jabron Payne and Nolan Ziegler and Jalen Sneed. And that's Big Emil Wagner standing behind Marcus Freeman towards the end of the game. And you see Marcus Freeman's face. We've talked about it. You know, we've been adamant that, man, you know, at that point in the game, we felt much better if he would have been clapping it up, saying, let's go. We're still in this. Let's make some things go. And I said, you know what? His freshman have his back. And I saw that and I said, you know what? Things are going to be all right. Things are going to be okay. We got something coming. We have something brewing. And I just found that very interesting because I don't know how sideline etiquette works, right? But I just found it very interesting that at that point in the game, he was surrounded by his freshmen, his key freshmen at that. You know, made me feel good. It might not do anything for you, but at that moment, it made me feel good. And I said, you know what? The future's still bright. In spite of what we're going through right now, the future's still bright, right? If you're on a plane ride, you don't care if it's smooth. You don't care if there's some turbulence somewhere in that flight. All you want to do is land the plane. And that's it. And that's the hope that we all have as Notre Dame fans. Can we land the plane? Can we win the national championship? We don't care. I don't care how turbulent the path is if we land the plane and get to our destination. That's all. Let's see. I saw a question about something that Tim Priester. Oh, there it is. Ozzy Mack. Thank you, my man, for tapping in with us. Do you think Tim Priester should get slack for asking Marcus if his inexperience has something to do with the loss? No. I don't think it was a Bush League question. Uh, it was a tough question. And, I actually applaud people in the media that ask tough questions. I don't think he was trying to be slick with it in any way, shape, or form. I watched the video, and, certain people have been questioning his inexperience since he got hired. And they finally got the moment to interject what they feel via a question. And I'll leave it at that. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't so much a question as it was what he feels about Marcus Freeman as a head coach. It was pretty simple to me. But no, I didn't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it at all. Roderick, you know what? This isn't a question, but I like your comment, in the chat here. And we appreciate you guys for being so wonderful in the chat each and every show. Man, if it's not sabotage, then the quarterback coach / offensive coordinator and O-line coach suck. It needs to be released to search for employment elsewhere. That's something that I know I've talked to people that have felt that way based upon, and we touched on it, like the vibe of the off season and the whole Miami thing and all of that stuff, and what is truly the relationship, and Marcus Freeman not particularly in the eyes of certain people around the program, not particularly having the opportunity to go out and interview his own offensive coordinator. And I wouldn't say that Tommy was necessarily forced on him, but I do think there were people at Notre Dame that made a suggestion that it might be a really good idea to have Tommy continue on the staff. As they were having talks with Marcus Freeman and interviewing him. So you take that for what it's worth. And, it was kind of the same situation with Mike Elston, and ultimately Mike Elston decided to leave after the bowl game. Even, and that was of his own free will to go to Michigan, his alma mater. So I don't have a problem with it at all. But it is interesting that you said that. Wayne Miller, thank you for tapping in. I was a big TB fan, but that kid missed every deep throw. If he could have hit 40% of them, ND might be 2-0. Yes, the team around him let him down, but he missed those throws. Wayne, you're preaching to the choir. You're preaching to the choir. We've been saying that. Like, one big play really can turn the tide of a football game. Just one throw can change so much in a football game. And I'll go a step further. If he didn't hit the big throws on Saturday and if he just didn't throw the interceptions on Saturday, I feel like Notre Dame wins. How about that? Forget missing the big throws. Just don't throw the picks. Just don't throw the interceptions. And Notre Dame comes away with the victory, right? And what did Marcus Freeman say that he wanted from his quarterbacks? Just don't make the big mistakes. That's it. Decision making. If we don't make big mistakes, we're going to win. And I tend to agree with him on a weekly basis because they have a much better roster than probably 75% of the teams that they're going to play. They just do. So before we switch over to Tyler Buckner and what needs to happen, congratulations to Manti Te'o, who is arguably top 5 all time at Notre Dame. The word came down on yesterday that he's going to be on campus. He's going to take the walk with the team to the stadium after they leave the Basilica. And I'm sure he's going to talk to the team. He's definitely the most impactful recruit in the Brian Kelly era to get things jumping. And everything he went through, the fact that he was away from Notre Dame for the amount of time that he was, is really sad. It's really sad. And I'm just glad that this day is coming. And any positive energy that he can bring to that stadium and this team this weekend, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So a tip of the cap and kind of a podcast round of applause. I need my sound effect, my clap sound effect right now for that guy, Manti Te'o, who's back on campus this weekend. I was good to see that. Absolutely good to see that. I see so many things that you guys are talking about. Oh, let me get this one here. We are not Marshall. There isn't a quarterback on the roster, Buckner included, that can carry this team without all 3 units playing well. Very well said. There is no aircraft carrier on this team in that position room. I totally agree. This team truly has to win collectively as a team without question. And that's a perfect segue to what I wanted to talk about in the terms of what's next for Tyler Buckner. Tyler Buckner is going to be on the mend from his AC joint injury. He's out for the rest of the season. But this young man must take this time very seriously. He must recognize that he was injured in high school. He was injured in limited time last season. And he's injured once again 2 games into this season. And that's a wake-up call, in my opinion. The Notre Dame staff, the people around him, his family, they all need to recognize that if this young man has goals to continue playing the quarterback position and possibly getting to the next level, you need to put in some work right now. These are the most important developmental months, possibly, of your career. You should be sitting and watching every piece of film that you can get. You need to learn pre-snap reads. You need to learn how to read safeties. You need to learn to read the leverage of cornerbacks so that when you do throw to the outside, they stop sitting on your routes and you know to go to the next guy in the progression. This is a pivotal time for Tyler Buckner. This is when he can actually become a better quarterback without taking a snap. Right now. Work on your voice. Be on the sideline. Talk to guys. Become sure of yourself. These are things that you can do without taking a snap. Become a better teammate. Become a leader. Watch Drew lead. Watch others lead. Let them pour into you and become a better leader. This is your time to get better right now. This is not time to feel sad about what has happened. That's the game of football. You play it hard, sometimes you have to suffer the consequences. But you know that you should know that there is no way you can go back into battle the same way. You might as well bang your head up against a brick wall. Most people call that insanity. And it would be crazy for you to take another snap on the football field as the same quarterback. You have to change now. The transformation has to happen right now. And you can actually do it without taking a snap. Put in the work. If you want to eat on the field, you have to put in the work. Good book says if a man doesn't work, more than likely, he's not going to eat. Probably doesn't deserve to eat if he's not willing to put in the requisite work. You want to eat on the football field in the next 2 years, Tyler Buckner? You got to put in the work over the next 4 to 5 months, going into the off season, going into spring practice. When March hits, you got to come back a totally different quarterback, my man. This isn't the time to sulk. This isn't the time to feel sad. We got work to do. This fan base believes in you. It's not a believed in the past. This fan base is loyal. They believe in you. They have your back. So it's no time to feel sad. Go put in that work and become the quarterback that I know you believe you can become, the staff believes you can come, and this fan base believes you can become. Go do it. That's what Nike says. Just do it. The time is now. I'm not a quarterback, so I can't speak as technically about what needs to be done as Malik would have been able to. Maybe we'll do and another thing later on tonight because I know he wants to dig into this specific topic. But yeah, the time is now. The time is now. You got to go put in the work, man. You have to go put in the work. Lucky Lefty podcast. ND for life says we need more ND players to come back and show the current and future ND players some love. Well, you know, a lot of those ex-players are like playing on Sundays, and it's kind of hard to get back to campus until their bye week. A huge contingency will be there for the Clemson game. That I do know already. There was a large contingency of Notre Dame players on the sideline at the Ohio State game, which I thought was tremendous, especially former players. Jerome Bettis, Tim Brown, I believe Todd Light was there. They had a nice contingency of players. Chris Zorich was there, a nice contingency of players at the Ohio State game. So it's getting there. Once again, transition. That really wasn't the thing under Brian Kelly. Notre Dame players didn't feel like they were welcomed. This is out of their own mouths. Notre Dame players didn't feel like they were welcomed under Brian Kelly. So now that the welcome mat has been put out by Marcus Freeman, there's a transition. And things will start to build up. And you'll start to see more and more ex-players coming to games and being involved. Chris Davison, that's no excuse. I've seen Drew Brees at many Purdue games over the years. I don't know what you're saying is not an excuse, whether it's him being in the NFL or I didn't use it as an excuse. I said they're playing on Sundays and they can't get to games until they have a bye week. When Drew Brees got to Purdue, I'm pretty sure he didn't take a Saturday off to go away from the team. I'm pretty sure it was a bye week when they didn't have a game. So it's not an excuse. It's just kind of like the way it is. If you were referring to not being welcomed by Brian Kelly in the program, that's totally different. And Evan, Phyllis burner account, hey, I agree. There's many ways to skin a cat. You know, if you're the type of coach that doesn't want players on the sideline, that's fine. Doesn't mean they can't be there, though. They have suites with alumni that they can talk to. They can be around recruits in the stands. They can make an impact. So that's personal. Just because Kelly did it that way doesn't make it right. There's no such thing as the right thing. Ohio State's been winning championships in Alabama. Their players are on the sidelines all the time and win a championship. So Alabama's not doing it the right way? Are you kidding me? Dude, this is where we disagree. And I'm not about to go down this road, man. Tim Brown doesn't have to buy a ticket. He's not the same as a fan. And if you feel like you have equal rights at Notre Dame to Tim Brown, I need you to self-evaluate. Because I don't know how much revenue you've brought in to the University of Notre Dame in comparison to Tim Brown, but it's apples and oranges. I'm sorry. I didn't go to Notre Dame. When I step on campus, I should not receive the same love as a graduate from Notre Dame. I shouldn't. I flat out shouldn't. But I've been a Notre Dame fan my entire life. And there's no way I expect the same love to come my way, the same perks to come my way as someone that's an actual alum. I'll give you one even greater. If I'm in a room with Marcus Freeman alongside of Tim Priester, guess who should get the first question? The guy that actually went to Notre Dame, and that's a legend. Only second to loose emoji, probably. Tim Priester. I don't get the same treatment, but I'm a lifetime Notre Dame fan. So if you want to tell me that Notre Dame players that not only brought revenue, but magical moments to fans and alumni and students shouldn't receive extra love and should be forced to buy a ticket, that's petty. That's super petty. It's absolutely super petty. And I'm not saying it's wrong. In my opinion, it's super petty. There is no right or wrong in the situation. Coaches do it the way they feel like it impacts their program. Period. Nick Saban allows his players down on the field. Georgia allows their players down on the field. Ohio State allows their players down on the field. Brian Kelly didn't. It's up to the individual coach how they want to run their sideline. But it has absolutely zero to do with buying a ticket. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. The fact that we're bringing this to like buying a ticket has nothing. There is no right or wrong way. It's up to the individual coach. It's up to the individual coach. It is. So it is what it is. As far as your other comment about Marcus Freeman, man, look, we welcome all opinions as long as it's not a personal attack. Have at it. But your ticket comment, it was bad. It was pretty bad. So let's talk about Tommy Rees and Al Golden and what they had to say yesterday. And I hopefully I can get Malik on tonight for you guys to really dig deep and show you guys what Tyler Buckner specifically needs to do from a mechanical, fundamental, and pre-snap standpoint to really get better in his downtime. Because I really believe that this kid, if he properly uses this time to get better and heal and become a better leader and overall quarterback, man, I'm telling you, it might be night and day next year. Game 2 when the Buckeyes come into South Bend. It might be night and day. Let's see. I don't know. Tommy Rees was coach talkish yesterday. The obvious, talking about yes, Chris Tyree needs more touches. I really didn't need to hear that from Tom. That's the one thing is I'm not the type of media person to ask a question that I know is obvious, right? It's kind of like watching a game that everyone's watching and a player makes a great play and everybody in the world tweets, wow, that was a great play. I'm not going to tweet that. There's no need to tweet that, right? Everybody's watching it. Everybody saw it. And it's the same thing with Chris Tyree. I didn't need to hear a question about Chris Tyree. I knew that Tommy Rees and the rest of this coaching staff knew that Chris Tyree needed more touches. There was nothing to be said, right? Needs more touches. We know that. How are you going to get him the touches? Right? Are we going to stop all of this? Putting him in the slot as a receiver? Can we just get him early involved in the backfield, getting touches from the backfield, whether it's RPOs, whether it's inside power, whether it's an outside run, whether it's motioning him out, bringing him back, or bringing him across as a jet sweep from the same position. Like run 10 plays from the same formation. Give the defense something to look at instead of having the defense being able to key in on your formations and basically predict what play is coming. Because that's happened a lot in the first two games as you rewatch these games and you watch the film. Defenses are keying in on formations and knowing what's coming as far as the play call. And that goes directly to Tommy Rees as an offensive coordinator and what he's going to have to do. Rob, I totally agree with you. I look, the screen game used to be a staple in the Notre Dame football program. Even when they really weren't good teams, the screen package was really good under multiple coaches. I have no clue where it's gone. Even when they've tried to run screens, they just really haven't been that good. And that's going back the last 2 or 3 seasons. Yeah, we needed to return. Let's see. R. Riley. Before BK, ND was a 6-16. BK brought a business formula that produced wins that was refreshing. I think Freeman could be great if he changes at DC and OC. I like all the coaches, O-line, D-line, wide receiver. You know what? That comment, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Al Gold, right? Because Tommy Rees is obvious. He has to be better. Like, we know what the players need to do along that offensive line. The receivers, we already spoke to that. Tight ends, Michael Mayer, Bauman, and Eli Raridon and Holden Stays. They both got run last week. So Bauman needs to step it up, or he can find himself next to Marcus Freeman with Mitchell Evans coming back in a couple of weeks as well. So get it together. And I'm sure he knows. He knows he needs to get it together. But R. Riley, thank you for posting that comment, because Al Golden was actually quite refreshing, in my opinion, based upon what he said. He was honest, and he talked about foremost, he talked about tackling. and how important it was to tackle better, which led to big plays, right? You go to the Ohio State game. Okay, Cam Hart, you give up the reception, but if you really play the leverage the way it's supposed to be played, you tackle the receiver, Ibuka, and he doesn't score a touchdown. Maybe you hold them to a field goal. Maybe they score a touchdown. We move from that. Tackling on the last drive at Ohio State with Mayan Williams and Travion Henderson just running through arm tackles, poor gap discipline, poor eye discipline by the linebackers, defensive linemen out of gap, playing two gap when they should be trying to get into the backfield. Who was that on? Is it on the defensive coordinator? Is it on the players? These are the questions that have been going around amongst Notre Dame fans. I thought Al Golden spoke to it. He said, these are the things that we have to do. Isaiah Foskey came back to rush the passer. Like, you shouldn't have to scheme. You can scheme him open, whether it's calling stunts or moving him from side to side in different positions. You can do that. But his talent is so good, it should take over no matter where he lines up. Specifically, like, I have a problem with the fact that Isaiah Foskey at this point is being blocked one-on-one by tackles. Like, I need more. I can see if they were double teaming you, chipping you consistently with the running backs. We've seen none of that. Seen none of it. You raising the bar impacts everybody else. Because if you're playing at the level that you came back to play at, if Foskey plays at the level that he came back to play at, now he starts to impact what the running backs are doing. They have to take an extra second or two before they get out into their route. Why? Because I have to chip before I get out into my route, which gives another second possibly, or 2 seconds to the pass rushers, besides Foskey, to get to the quarterback. This is where leadership, raising their level, starts to impact everybody else on the defense and around them. And that's why leadership is vitally important to the success of this team moving forward. You need those guys that were projected as first round, second round picks by the NFL draft and scouts to play at that level. Just don't be a superhero. Just do what we know you can do. That's it. That's it. Do what you know you can do. Ozzie Mack says Golden's strength is his linebackers. They just didn't tackle in space. That's on the players. Well, I would venture to say, and some other people would venture to say, that the best linebackers might not necessarily be on the field. The depth chart really didn't change that much this week. We'll see how it goes moving forward. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not a big fan. I'm going to be honest with you. Al Golden talked about this. He was asked about the three-man front when they dropped Justin into coverage. I'm not a big fan of three-man fronts. Unless it's like third and forever. Second and forever. Like, I'm not just giving you the run. And I'm not just going to give it to you on a first down. I saw a three-man front on a first down. And I was trying to figure out, like, yo, what's going on here? John Erickson said, we stopped tackling way back in the bowl game. No. Did you not watch the second half of last season against North Carolina, USC? We stopped tackling 2 seasons ago at the linebacker position. It goes beyond the bowl game. He also talked about he feels like it's more, he put it on the players. that's what was refreshing as a coach. He admitted that he had to be better. He admitted that from a scheme standpoint, maybe, you know, simplifying things is needed right now. But at this point, you can't miss tackles that leads to a 40-yard play. You can't let a guy that's trying to run a trick play have two Notre Dame defenders stop and just watch him run because the DBs covered the pass and just let him run for a big play. Like that, that's, yo, that's football 101. Get the man with the ball. He has the ball, go get him and attack him. It's football 101. Backed up on their 5-yard line, 3rd and 8, Ramon Henderson. Man to man, has the tight end. That's his guy. That's his guy. So even if it's a running play, I'm going to where my man is in that running play. You just can't stop and get so caught up in play action that you forget your assignment. Your assignment is the tight end, man to man. Your assignment is not right here in this box. So those are the things that need to be cleaned up, along with tackling, giving up big plays, and specifically he talked about turnovers and putting pressure on the quarterback. And he flat out said, look, in order to get turnovers, we're going to have to pressure the quarterback. And we haven't done that. Now, they tried some linebacker fires. They tried some other things in the second half, some run blitzes, and the linebackers just didn't get there. So I don't know. The only successful blitzer was Ramon Henderson, who got home on his blitz, but he's a safety. They brought Maris off the edge a couple of times, and he got to pressure the other guys when they blitz. I really haven't seen them be successful. So, the front four is going to have to get after the quarterback. And I'll say this, in watching Cal against UNLV, and UNLV, who also is on Notre Dame's schedule, UNLV is not a good football team on either side of the ball. They're not. The fact that that game was remotely close for a short time, and the fact that Cal only put up 20, and they put up the points early, and then the offense just went into hibernation. And it wasn't like they weren't trying. Offensive line, man. They want to spread you out, take chances with the run game, take shots down the field. Quarterback doesn't have a big arm, but he has nice, feathery. He has a pretty ball. I'll give him that. He has a pretty ball. It's not a strong arm, right? And he threw one interception in the red zone where he literally looked at two linebackers just stalking his tight end on a quick hitch route. And he still threw it, knowing he didn't have a strong enough arm, and they picked it off. So they should be able to create turnovers this week. Even in the run game, like stripping a running back, holding them up, punching the ball out. Just be aggressive. We have to be more aggressive. We have to play with more passion like Cam McDaniel and like Drew Pyne talked about along with Tommy Rees. They just have to. Jay Henry, that's a good point. Like, especially if you're light as far as size on a defensive line, like, I don't know the benefit of running a 3-man front. I just don't know. saw someone said something about the D line. I thought it was a great comment. Give me a second. Tom A. Tom, you always listen to us, man. We appreciate you. Facts are the defense gave up over 90 yards drives in the fourth quarter when we needed stops in both games. An elite defense doesn't do that. Come on, Golden, do your job. See, this is Tom. I agree with you. My only pushback is that has nothing to do with Al Golden. That's not Al Golden, man. That's not. That 3rd and 8, that's not Al Golden. That's Ramon Henderson not doing his job. The big run by Labor last week that got them into the red zone, that's not Al Golden. You had a linebacker and a safety in position to make the play, and they whiffed. And then he made a defensive back miss coming to tackle him. That's 4 missed tackles. That's not coaching, man. Make the plays. Either you're good enough to make the play or you're not. And it's easy to say, coach, do your job. You know what's easier than that? The players going out there and making plays. Al Golden on 3rd down after Jason Adamiola had just gotten a big TFL to keep them out of the end zone. They get 3rd and goal. 3-man front, drops 8 into the end zone. They get pressure and force Columbia to his left. And both linebackers come out of the end zone in coverage to chase after the quarterback and leave a space for the tight end to be open. There's a reason why he dropped 8 in coverage in the end zone. So that wouldn't happen. And with that, you can't have those type of things happen. You can't. You can call plays. Al Golden has made bad play calls. Let's be honest. The double fire on the key 3rd down against Ohio State, bad play call. I'll take the field goal and go into the 4th quarter 10-10. That's me. The way my defensive backs were playing at that time, 3rd and long, I'm forcing you to throw the ball under. Kick this field goal. Your kicker has already missed 1. Maybe he misses another one. But I'm not giving you a free shot to throw up something one-on-one and hope you get a touchdown. I thought that play call let C.J. Stroud and Ohio State off the hook, in my opinion. But it was poorly executed. So now that's where you get into this battle. You can say it was a bad play call, but if they had executed the play correctly and came up with an interception, then what do you say? Oh, man, that's a great play call by Al Golden to go for the blitz at that point in the game. It's just a tricky situation. But everyone's culpable. Everyone's guilty in this situation. Everyone's guilty in this situation. Unfortunately, I'm going to be honest with you, Andres Nito. He doesn't have the size to be at the tackle position. He would probably be a strong side defensive end. We need Stephon Tuitt types. We need Big 9 types. We need Jerry Tillery at 300 types. That's what we need in the middle. And we haven't had that type of guy in a while. We just haven't. Which is why Justin Scott from St. Ignatius Prep is vitally important in the 24 class. He is a must get. And right now it seems to be a battle between Notre Dame, Michigan, and Wisconsin, because they are the schools right now that are going to be getting his visits during his open schedule. or his open Saturdays in the season. John Harrison, Shaun, should we be concerned that the guy that appears to be playing the hardest on defense is a transfer? He definitely is the guy playing with the most passion. I don't think anyone on defense has played with more passion than Brandon Joseph. And I think he came into this situation feeling like, yo, I'm playing on a big stage and I'm playing for an opportunity to play big time games. And he's playing like that, but he's been like that. This is the reason I came up with the formula 16 is greater than 14, right? Because of his impact, his play has impacted. Look, DJ Brown looks a lot better at safety. Houston Griffith looks better at safety. Like, he is infectious. And I think the way the defensive backfield, for the most part, has been the best unit through 2 games. That's without question. And I think one of the reasons for that is the emergence, which we said on this podcast, the emergence of Tariq Bracy, who Al Golden spoke about yesterday. This is a perfect point. We talk about coaching and players. Well, one can say, well, man, Mike Mickens has done an incredible job with Tariq Bracy, and it's starting to show on the field. Al Golden was quick to point out, Tariq Bracy is in Mike Mickens' office every day, all day, when he's not in class or practicing, watching film. He has taken it upon himself to become the player that he wants to be. And he's put in the work. He decided to put in the work, and now he's reaping the harvest of the work that he's put in on a daily basis. That's a player. And he's gone out and executed. That is the combination of coaching and player. And there aren't players on the Notre Dame roster that are being undercoached. Everybody has the opportunity to go forth and put forth the effort to be better as a player at Notre Dame. Brandon Joseph, Tariq Bracy, they've taken that opportunity and they're producing. That's it. They've taken the accountability and responsibility to do that. So, we start bantering back and forth as a fan base about who to blame. It's all bad. And they all have to get better. He's taking grad classes, by the way. It's not like he's just sitting at home. He's taking classes to get that master's. So you can't use that reasoning or that excuse. Kurt Hinish was huge from a leadership standpoint. Look, we talked about this. Cam McDaniel pointed this out. Kurt Hinish was huge, 2-time captain. He was huge from a captain and leadership standpoint. Huge. Cam McDaniel pointed out how the offense for 2 years leaned and depended on Kyron Williams. His departure is huge. How many times did we see Kyron Williams make a big play when the play wasn't executed? Go watch the 95-yard run against North Carolina. The offensive line didn't block anybody. They didn't block anybody. That's just a player making a play. That's it. That's a player making a play. Offensive line didn't block anyone. And the result was a 95-yard touchdown that pretty much sealed that game against North Carolina. A game that was close because Notre Dame couldn't tackle for the majority of the game. They couldn't even tackle Sam Howell. Forget wide receivers like Josh Downs and the running backs. They couldn't tackle Sam Howell. So I'm just saying, look, Notre Dame is going to win Saturday. They're going to win. Why? Because I believe in the guy that's going to be at the helm for the assignment. I really do. He's the right guy. And I just don't like that the opportunity had to come by injury. But for this assignment, this is the guy that I want leading and galvanizing everyone else, because it's going to take the team collectively being led by the captains to dig themselves out of this hole, get back to 5-2, 6-2, and then get into the meat of the schedule, because they're better than everyone on their schedule. They're a better team than Cal. They're a better team than North Carolina. They're a better team than UNLV, and on and on and on and on. Correct the ship, get back to 5-2. Now go face BYU, Clemson, USC, and see what you can do. That's pretty much all you have right now. That's it. That's it. That's all you can do. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Hit the like button. Share. Let everybody know. Lucky Lefty Podcast. We'll get Malik back on maybe for 15 to 20 minutes later on tonight to talk to you guys more about Tyler Buckner and Drew Pyne and what to look for, and to break down things schematically, what he wants to see, the 3 things he wants to see offensively going into this game. It should be pretty cool. So I hope you guys can have the same confidence at some point that I have about this game on Saturday, with Notre Dame being 10-point favorites. You know what time it is.
Petticoat, petticoat, petticoat junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's pettiest story? Petty Junction.
Petticoat Junction.
Petty Junction, petty story of the day. Someone said it did something. Super petty, brought to you by Onora Whisky. OnoraWhisky.com, that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhisky.com. Throw Daniel Hackett on the petty train once again. Not only did he make the idiotic move to not go for it on 4th and 5 with Russell Wilson as his quarterback and kick a 64-yard field goal, he doubled down on yesterday and said that, yeah, I made a mistake, but that was the plan. That was the plan. The plan was to get to the 46, and once we cracked the 46, we were all good to go ahead and attempt the field goal. Oh, man. Yo. All right. Notre Dame fans are worried about Marcus Freeman. If I was a Broncos fan, I would be extremely worried. Extremely worried. Yo, thank you guys so much. Just quick update. Several people have hit us up, Malik and I, in the messages and Twitter, and even on the YouTube page. The holdup with Locked On is an HR situation with Lucky being in. The company is located in California. It's seeing that Malik is a resident of California. His HR situation is different because of state laws, and they're trying to come to a happy medium concerning vaccinations and all of that stuff. And, you know, that's the holdup. Other than that, we would be doing the Locked On thing and bringing you guys pretty much both combined But until that's resolved, Lucky Lefty Podcast is going to continue to rock. So we've also had some problems with our original podcast feed to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the other platforms we were on. Hopefully that's supposed to be fixed by today, and we'll be putting out our own audio until the situation with Locked On is rectified. So, pray for us that the situation gets rectified soon and we move forward in a very beneficial and profitable partnership with Locked On Irish. All right. So have a great day. And we'll let you know. I'll post on the Twitter page whether or not we'll have a show tonight. Stay locked in with us. Hit the like button. We appreciate you. Brought to you by Onora Whisky. See you possibly tonight, but definitely tomorrow at the same time for another edition of the Lucky Lefty Podcast. Spin it different today. We appreciate you guys.